Turn me up some. Whoa, whoa. Turn me up some.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, and welcome to another edition of the Rant Show. I'm your lovely and very sexy host, as always, N7X Caro. And this time around, I'm going to be talking about, how can I put this? Well, it kind of has to do with video games, I guess. Alright, for those of you that don't know, here in like 15 days, there's a new game coming out called Mass Effect Andromeda. For those that don't know, I am a huge fan of the Mass Effect series in general, and BioWare, the company that made Mass Effect in general, as well. In my opinion, the only other game series that can hold a candle to the Mass Effect series is Fallout, and that's about it. But that's not what I'm going to talk about or rant about, is the comparison between those two. But here's actually what I want. There's a reason why I mentioned Mass Effect. Actually, earlier today, I went to go and pre-order Mass Effect Andromeda, since it is coming out here soon. And now, I'm not saying I'm completely 100% against a little-known company called Walmart. I'm not saying I'm 100% against them. They provide millions of jobs for millions of people, which is really good, not just in the U.S., but all over the world. Sorry, my eyes really itchy because there's Walmart popping up all over the world now. They provide services like that. I don't know why. I feel like it's an eyelash in my eye. Sorry. They provide services for millions of people all over the world, which is awesome. But I like to try and help. Not see how can I word it. I like when I have the chance to and I have the money to. I like to try and support and try to help in any little way I can. Any smaller businesses, any business that I know might not be getting as much money or as much business as other big businesses and stuff like Walmart. That's why when I go and shop when I have the money to, I go shop at smaller grocery stores and stuff of that nature. And when there's like smaller video game stores and places that sell video games, that are not big as, GameStop is or Walmart is, since they sell video games too. I try to. Some of the time, you might have to, pony up a few extra bucks to shop at these smaller businesses because they have to have their prices up to try and actually make money. But I try to when I can. When I have the money to, I try and go to smaller businesses and give them my business. And that's what I wanted to do with when I wanted to go and pre-order Mass Effect Andromeda. And so there is actually a Toys R Us, for those of you that know the name of the store. It's a toy and video game specific store. That's their main focus, is toys and electronics. And at least from what I read and gathered, Toys R Us in general isn't doing as good as they used to. I can remember back when I was a kid, and I'm 31 right now. I can remember back when I was a kid, the Toys R Us's were packed, man. They were known as the store to go for games and toys and things of that nature. And unfortunately nowadays, this is back when I was pre-teen, so what, 20 plus years ago. Now, unfortunately, they're not doing as well. They're still in business, but they're not doing as well as, like other video game stores and game stores in general, like, Walmart and even Best Buy and places like that. So I wanted to go there to pre-order, because Toys R Us does pre-orders for video games. I wanted to go there and pre-order my game through them, because at least, like I said, as far as the research I did, Toys R Us in general aren't doing as well as they should. And unfortunately, as well as they used to. Let me put it that way. And unfortunately, the one near me, unless it's either Black Friday or close to Christmas or some close to other holiday, unless it's one of those days, they normally don't get a lot of business. Their parking lot's not even half full. It unfortunately it doesn't hold a candle to some other video game and electronic stores. Unfortunately, or at least that's what it seems like anytime I pass it by. Like they said, their parking lot's not even halfway full. There's maybe 10 to 15 cars in there at a time in their parking lot. Out of the parking lot that can probably hold close to like 50 or 75. So, from my perspective, they don't seem, at least the one near me doesn't seem to be getting a lot of business. So I wanted to go there, pre-order my game through them, to give them some business. I wanted to help them out. As little as help they might be from just one customer, I wanted to help them out. And here comes the rant. When I went into Toys R Us to reserve Mass Effect Andromeda, I went to their video game section, their electronics section, and I asked, hey, because I've never pre-ordered a game through Toys R Us. I don't know how they did it, because certain places go about pre-ordering games in different ways. So I was like, hey, where do I get to pre-order a game? She's like, and the lady that I talked to was like, well, we have our pre-order cards, which I'll explain what they are in a second. And they're around here somewhere, like pre-order cards. Okay, I guess you gotta buy one of them to say, hey, I'm pre-ordering this game. So like, whatever, fine. So she pointed me to where the pre-order cards were, and here comes the rant. These pre-order cards are just that, they're cards. And the cards, the video game that's on the card is the game, obviously, you're trying to pre-order. So, I guess the way it goes, from what I understand, is that you buy the card, okay, and then you at least have to put $1 on that card. So whatever video game is on that card is for the game you're trying to pre-order, and you at least got to put $1 on that card, and that's $1 that goes towards the game. And if you want a full, and then you make what's what I'm looking for. You put as much money as is needed on that game card until the full cost of the game is filled. And then whenever the game is released, you bring that card in, say, look, I pre-ordered this game. Okay, fine. So they scan they swipe the card. It shows that you've paid the full price of the game, and that obviously, because the game is on the card, that's the game you're getting. Hopefully some of that made sense. I know it's a weird way Toys R Us goes around it, but it is what it is. Now here comes the true rant part of this whole thing I wanted to do. My Toys R Us, alright, the one that's near me, the lady showed me to where they have the rack where the pre-ordered cards are. Now this is just mine. I'm not saying all Toys R Us are like this, but this is the one that I went to. Alright. I'm not saying this is all Toys R Us out there, but this is what happened at the one I went to. She showed me the small ass rack where they had the pre-order cards at. Big as my head, okay, big as my face. Let's talk about this size. And it had 4 sides all around, right? So it had 1, and then 2, and 4, okay? And you can spin it around, yada yada. Okay, and most of it was empty. All the those little hook things that they have sticking out where you hang the cards on and all that, they were all empty. They only had 2 ones that actually had cards on them. Out of the millions of hooks that they had around this little thing, they only had there's only a few cards hanging on 2 of the hooks. Alright. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? These cards, the only 2 for each hook. There's a game you can pre-order. Okay, and they had so many cards on each hook that were for that game. And out of all the tiny little hooks that are on this small, like, hexagon, octagon rack, the only 2 games they had, only the 2 cards, I'm going to call them pre-order cards, okay? The only 2 pre-order cards they hanging on that rack were some freaking Super Mario game that's coming out for the new Nintendo. the Nintendo Switch, and it was like it wasn't Battlefield, but it was like it was a game like that, like Battlefield, Call of Duty type game. And it had the word wind in it. I know that. Those were the only two games out of a rack that had probably a good 20 hooks on it. Only two of them had cards, pre-order cards on it, and the pre-order cards were only for that Battlefield type game and for that Mario game that's coming out for the Nintendo Switch. That's it. All the other racks were empty. Now, normally, my only other complaint about the video game section inside my Toys R Us. Now, like I said, I'm not saying that all Toys R Us is like this, but this is mine personally. This is my experience with the one that I went to near me. My only other small complaint that I had about that place in general, and this is just in general, is that in their video game section, some of their, like you go to GameStop or Walmart, and their racks are filled with games, filled with video games. At Toys R Us, at my Toys R Us, the one I live near, normally 25 to almost half percent, 25 to 50% of the rack, the video game racks in their video game section, were always empty all the time. I don't know why, but that's the way it was. So at certain times they only had a limited certain amount of video games. But, like I said, I wanted to help a business that, in my opinion, wasn't doing so well. So I wanted to help them out. Might not have been much help, but I wanted to help them out. I wanted to pre-order my game to them, give them some, get some money in their pockets, and and just help out in any way I can. And when I do, they don't have anything. They literally don't have anything. The lady shows me where they have their pre-order cards. The rack that they have has at least a good 20 hooks on it, where so many pre-order cards are hung on each rack post thing. And out of the 20 of them, only 2 of them actually have pre-order cards on them. And the only 2 pre-order cards was, like I said, for some Mario game coming out from Nintendo Switch. And for some Battlefield theme game. And that was it. All the other hooks on this octagon square shaped thing, they were empty. Those were literally the only 2 games you could pre-order through Toys R Us. Or at least my Toys R Us, the one I live near. Like I'm saying, I know I've already repeated myself several times. But literally, that's all you could do. There's the only 2 games you could pre-order. Like, did they just not, like, I don't know. Like, a good deal with, like, at least at any given point in time, at least 20%, 25% of their video game racks being empty. I could deal with that. But the fact that I go there to try and help this Toys R Us out, the one near me, I'm not saying all Toys R Us's are like this. I'm praying and I'm hoping they're all not. If any of you have been to a Toys R Us lately, let me know in the comments below if any others are like this. But for the one near me, I want to help them out, give them some of my money. Because from what I could see with my own peripherals, they weren't doing as good as they weren't doing as good as some of the businesses around them, like the Walmart in my area and the Best Buy in my area. So I wanted to help them out, give them some of my money. But when I go in there to pre-order the game, they don't have anything. I mean, I could even accept the fact that for whatever reason you couldn't pre-order Mass Effect through that, but they literally didn't have anything. They only had 2 games out of the thousands of hundreds, okay, not thousands, but out of all the games that are coming out this year, and there's a few, out of all the games that are coming out this year, they only have 2 games you could pre-order. Meanwhile, I can go to GameStop, video game store that I personally have a problem with now. For those of you who watched my GameStop rant on one of my past rant shows, you understand why I'm not a big fan of GameStop anymore. GameStop, GameStop, I could go and reserve any game that's coming out this year. Same with Best Buy, same with Walmart. But I want to go out and help Toys R Us out, but they're not giving me anything. They only have two games that you could pre-order, and both games came out this month. There are no other games that you could pre-order. That's all they had. So honestly, when I saw that and I left Toys R Us, I was I was pissed. I was mad. Because I wanted to help them out. Like I said, my few bucks might not have been much, but I wanted to help them out. I wanted to help out the Toys R Us I wanted to help out this toy store that seemed not to be doing as good business-wise as some of the other competitors in my town. So, yeah, that kind of got me pissed today. Because like I said, I did that earlier today. That's actually what I'm ranting about. And I hope and I pray not all Toys R Us's are like this. Like I said, if any of you have been to a Toys R Us lately, let me know in the comments below, and let me know if they're all like this, because I hope they're not. Because I honestly wanted to help them out. I want to give them a few of my bucks, a few of my dollars, to try and help them out. Might not have been much, but I wanted to give them my business and try and pre-order Mass Effect Andromeda through them, and I couldn't even do that. I couldn't even reserve pretty much any game because they only had 2 you could pre-order. And if by some chance someone that works at Toys R Us, in the higher ups, sees this, if for whatever reason this isn't the only Toys R Us that is doing this, you need to fix this, because this is going on a whole nother rant, which I'm not going to get into, but I'm just going to say this real quick. Because this is the same fucking thing that's happening with Kmart. Sears owns them. For those who don't know, when Kmart was on the verge of bankruptcy, Sears bought them out. Sears owns Kmart. And several of the Kmarts I have been at so far, they're still struggling. And you know why? Because nothing's updated. None of their policies are reworked. None of their policies are updated. Their stores aren't updated. At least a few that I've been to. They're not updated. They're working on old, really old, outdated cash registers and other electronic stuff they use. Their return policy is ferocious. It's bad. Pretty much you can turn anything at any time and get money back for it. It could be 2 years old. I'm not even kidding. And you can get money back for it. I've seen it. My sister-in-law used to work at one. About like a year ago. And then Sears refuses to update any of well, from what I have seen, they refuse to update any of the Kmart stores. I'm sorry, what are you going to do? What's the point of buying out Kmart and trying to keep the stores open if you don't update anything? From the buildings to the hardware to the own freaking policies. Kmart, believe it or not, if you did it right, Sears, and if you actually, if those millionaires up there on the totem pole actually want to spend the cash, Kmart could actually compete with Walmart, believe it or not, if you did it right. Why the fuck aren't you? But getting back to actually what I was ranting about, it's the same thing with Toys R Us. How do you expect to keep yourself thriving if your stores are like this? Now, I'm not saying all the stores are. I pray they're not. But this is my own personal experience with my own personal Toys R Us that was in my town. So like I said, for some reason, if by some miracle or chance, one of the higher-ups at Toys R Us sees this video, my advice to you is to make sure that all other Toys R Us's aren't like this. And if they are, you might want to fix it. Soon. Alright? But guys, that's all I wanted to talk about. Because I really wanted to rant about this after this has happened. Because like I said, when I left Toys R Us, I was kind of mad. So I just ended up going to Best Buy and pre-ordering it. Because I almost kind of refused to go to GameStop. But, yeah. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Rant Show. Hopefully some of this, I know I stumbled over my words several times. Some of that probably didn't make sense. But I hope it can at least grasp the concept of what I was trying to talk about this episode of the Rant Show. And I hope you did enjoy it nonetheless. As always, this is your very lovely, very sexy host, N7X Caro. I will see you later. Sorry. As always, O4L. Peace, love, and chicken grease. I'll see all my Spock watchers later. As always, welcome to my domain one more time. This is your very lovely and very sexy host, N7X Caro. This has been The Rant Show, and I'll see you later. Always and forever, guys. Peace.